I'm Mia, the host, and today I'm going to be having my favorite DJ, DJ-Rtisic. Hello, how are you?
What's going on? I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming.
Of course. Thank you for having me here.
Of course.
I see we sipping something.
Yes.
So what's this about?
We're going to cheers.
Okay,
just
cheers.
for you being here.
Cheers to you. Appreciate you for having me, of course.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to get into this little icebreaker.
Okay,
Just want to see where your head is at.
All right, let's see.
So with this verses, you good with music. I wanted to see Raphael Sadiq. Sadiq and who do you think would be a good matchup?
Raphael is tricky, so I would say, because some folks were saying him and D'Angelo, even though he's produced for D'Angelo. That's kind of tough. It has to be somebody who's a writer, who's written for other people, and who has their own music, I would think. Who would be a good matchup for Raphael? Like, I can't say the bald-headed dude who's in jail. I'm not going to count him.
Right.
He don't count. Joe, if you're going solo work, I might say Joe could be decent.
Joe?
Similar era, maybe. I want to see Tony in mint condition. I would like to see that, yeah.
That would be a good matchup.
Yeah, because Stokely has his own solo stuff, so maybe I would say Stokely, if you can make it Stokely and Raphael, they could use the stuff they did solo and the stuff from the groups. That might be my pick.
That'd be a good match. I love Raphael Sadiq.
Yeah.
That's why I said that.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be fire. Yeah.
Got it. So you into classical composers and stuff? You familiar with them?
I know them all by name. I can't really tell you a whole lot about them.
Gotcha. So
I know Chopin and Bach, Mozart, those types. So yeah.
You don't know Tchaikovsky?
Yeah.
Beethoven?
Yeah.
Who would you choose, Beethoven or Tchaikovsky, if you're familiar?
I know way more Beethoven, but I can't really tell you what makes him better or worse.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but Beethoven has plus they said he might be black or something. I read that rumor came out. Yeah. It's a rumor that he's part black or something.
I never heard that.
He might just be light skinned. I don't know. But yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna roll with Beethoven because of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So how about you just tell people a little bit about yourself, your name, where you're from, and what you exactly do.
So my name is DJ-Rtisic. I've been DJing now for about 14 years. I used to be a producer. I started off producing back when I was in elementary school. So I used to produce for The Game in Black Wall Street back in 04, 05. And then DJ-wise, I've been DJing, started in college when I was at Florida A&M University. And then got back to LA at 08, and I've basically been doing everything from parties, corporate events, entertainment events, celebrity events, and international events as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You say you went to FAMU?
Yeah.
What did you study there?
So I actually majored in computer science.
Computer science?
Yeah.
Do you use that degree at all or straight just DJing?
I use it to an extent because a lot of stuff I do, I have to have a tech background for certain stuff. So if I'm DJing online, and it just helps knowing certain stuff when it comes to the technical background and stuff. But I don't use it as far as a full-time job anymore. I used to work in IT and software engineering, so I used to actually use it full-time, but I've been a full-time DJ for about the last 3.5 years now.
What made you go from the corporate techie job to DJing?
I was doing both for a long time. Even before I guess the background is I started working in tech IT in high school. So I've been doing that for a cool 20-something years now, 20 years. I was always in the tech and computers. So I was always into that and music. So even when I was in high school, I would work IT all day, then I would come home and work on music. So that's how it's been. And then after I finished college, I was working full-time IT, and DJing was just kind of like a cool second job just to kind of suffice with that. So I wasn't really intending on becoming a full-time DJ at that point. And then it just got to a point where the DJ money was not just about the money, it was just about everything, the time, the opportunities that were coming. So I quit my job the first time about 7 years ago, and I wasn't really ready yet financially, but the job just had me just too stressed out. I couldn't move around enough, and I went back to a different position. But then after 3 years of that, it was I didn't mind working full time, but it got hard to take off every Thursday and Friday to go out of town. And if I have a Monday, Tuesday gig, I have to work till 6 p.m. I'm DJing 10 to 2. Then I'm up till 3, 4 a.m. I have to get up at 7 o'clock for work 8 hours in the office. Like, it got to be a conflict after a while.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, as with you DJing, how did you get into DJing? Like, exactly how did you get into it?
I got into it mainly because I used to produce, of course, and when I was at FAMU, I was just the guy who everybody knew had all the West Coast music. I'm a LA native, of course, from Gardena, so it was a case of I was just doing house parties for the West Coast because at the clubs at the time, 06, 05, 06, 07, you didn't really hear any LA music at the club anymore. You might hear your generic California Love and one Snoop song. You heard a little bit of hyphy, but it was not really that much. So, and even at that point, hyphy was huge in California, but you would only get Tell Me When to Go. You didn't even get Blow the Whistle yet in 06 in Florida.
Really?
All you heard was Tell Me When to Go. You might hear Yay Area, maybe. So I was just doing like house parties, backyard parties for the California Club. I was the president of that, and it went from me just doing a playlist playing those songs to where people from other cities would come to those parties, and some of them would enjoy it and like the music I played, then some would complain, like, you're not playing any Lil Boozy, you didn't play no Tampa Tony, you didn't play any whoever else was out, Webby. So I had to learn how to play their music along with ours, and even then I didn't really see myself becoming a DJ. It was more so just something to do for fun on the side, but when people would start asking me to do their parties, I'm like, all right, well, throw me $20, which is, it sounds insane now, but minimum wage was probably $6 back then, so better than working at Publix. So it was basically where I would do house parties and then start doing stuff on campus. I would do stuff on campus for $40, $60, and that's just where it started from. I took all my internship money and bought equipment summer of 07. So I bought my equipment then, and it was like, if it doesn't work out, if I don't make enough money from it, I could just sell the equipment. If I get half the money back, I'm good with that. But I never sold it, so
it's still going.
Yeah, kept it rolling from there. Yeah.
Gotcha. So with you DJing, what was the event where you were like, okay, this is gonna be my full-time job? Do you remember?
It's tricky because like 2013, early that year is the first time I even considered being a full-time DJ, because 2012 was like, okay, I'm doing clubs and, you know, weddings, that type of stuff. I'm like, it's cool, but I don't see it full-time. Then 2013 happened early in the year. I toured with BJ the Chicago Kid. We did like South by Southwest, and I was like, okay, I took off 4 days from work, and I'm like, at that point I was like, if I can make this certain amount, I might consider leaving the job, but I don't really see it being realistic. And I did paid dues, and that was the first event where it was just like, wow, it's 25,000 people here. I DJed the whole stage the whole day, and this was rocking. And it was like, this could be fun to do full time, but it still wasn't realistic to me. And even then, that was a Saturday. I had to get up the next day and go to work. So it was just weird being in an office talking to somebody's grandma, fixing their computer when I was on stage in front of celebrities the day before. But it was still like, that's what it is. And then later that year, I won really the next year, early 2014, I won the flavor battle. And even then, it was like, okay, I won a battle. That's $10,000. That's enough to pay off some bills, but that's not, I can't quit my job from that. So I still didn't really want to be full time. It was more so the job kind of forced me out because they kept on giving me bad schedules where I was only off Wednesdays, Thursdays. And it was just like, all right, let me just quit the job and DJ as long as I can. And if it doesn't work, I can go back. And that's what happened the first time. Then the second time, it was more so, it was like, okay, I can, DJing is making more than the actual job is. And at this point, I'm like, even then it was like, I can quit, but if I have to come back, I have to come back. At this point, I haven't had to, and I hope I don't have to, but, you know, if it ever got to that point, you know, no shame.
Still going strong.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. So I want to like learn your music theory, because it was one time I asked you, I think it was a couple years ago, I was like, where did this Ice Cube and Cypress Hill beef come from? Because I Googled so much of that, and I'm like, who knows the answer? And I was like, maybe he don't know. And you like answered it, and I was like, oh wow. So how did you like learn like a lot of your like music history?
It's one of those things where people, like all my friends almost tease me because I have like a very almost weird memory when it comes to like events, music. Like you can name almost any song from the 90s and I can tell you the exact year it came out, if not almost the month. So it's like, even with that, I remember whenever stuff would happen, just talking to my neighbors, watching Rap City, reading The Source and those magazines, listening to Theo on the radio, just whatever it was, I can just remember each and everything that happened. And then by like 99, 2000, that's when like the message bulletin board thing was big. So it was websites like rapmusic.com, Dub CNN, West Coast Riders, all these websites where it's bulletin boards. So all the behind the scenes stuff that you couldn't find. It was essentially social media before social media. So there was no Twitter, there was no Facebook. So on these sites, they're just talking all day about stuff, about rumors. People who work for labels or work for artists would say, I was backstage and this happened, this and this happened. And then just watching interviews, I watch a lot of interviews from artists, I still do, whether it's a Drink Champs type deal or I don't really care for Breakfast Club as much, but whatever it is, like I watch those and then just talking to people, talking to artists, even the artists who I do personally know. My cousin, he's a rapper named Murr, so even talking to him, like he's giving me a lot of backstories on things. So it's just a combination of stuff at this point, but it's where a lot of stuff, it's crazy because a lot of stuff I talked about daily on these websites 15, 20 years ago, and the average person now doesn't even either, they never knew it at that time or they forgot about it. So a lot of times, even recently on Twitch, I was talking about the whole, people totally forgot or didn't realize there was a little beef between JD and Dre. And then Snoop kind of stepped up for JD and dissed Exhibit and kind of fired shots at Dre at that time. And it's just a lot of small stuff that kind of gets forgotten about because there's no history book talking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy because your knowledge is like, it's a lot. You never took like a music class in college, one of those like music courses or anything? Just
I actually didn't. I used to want to major in music, but I didn't. But I've actually taught guest lectures at colleges the last few years. So I've taught kind of like somewhat of a music history or even just like, I had a West Coast history class I did in Virginia. Then I did like a history of down south rap. I've done like a history of black music course for like the HBCU potential attendees. So it is the type of thing that I would love to become an actual professor at a university, just teaching that type of history.
Oh, so you would leave DJing and do that full time?
That would be both, because that's daytime. I can have a lecture 2 p.m. and then go home and sleep and then
that would
go
be
DJ.
Very dope, because I will take that class in a heartbeat. I don't know anything music. Like,
bro.
I don't know. Like, I can listen to a song and I'll know the song, the lyrics, but you can't ask me what the name is or the artist. I won't know.
I get it. I get that.
Yeah, and I listen to a lot of older music. So all this new music, you have to keep up with the times too, because
it's a lot. Every week is new music coming out. And people ask you for stuff that came out an hour ago. Like the club opened at 10 p.m. and something dropped on Tidal at 9 p.m. Somebody's gonna ask you for that song. So
how do you, with that situation, how do you learn about the music? Like, how do you keep up?
Yeah, everything from social media. Like we always joke and say TikTok is the club now, because especially during pandemic, like a lot of songs got big from TikTok and all these challenges and stuff on Instagram and Twitter. So a lot of stuff you get from there, and then a lot of stuff I get from talking to different DJs, because they can tell me what's big in different regions, or even LA, because LA, I'm not 21 no more, so it's like 21-year-olds have a whole different style of LA music from what the 30 and up like. So even talking to my young DJs, I have to kind of catch up on like who is Blue Bucks Clan and who is, Shoreline Mafia, what's their biggest songs type deal. So talking to them, then
those are real people.
Yeah.
I'm old.
It's it's so many, it's new artists every week. It's always somebody new, and keeping up with that and going through Title's always giving you, it's putting whatever is brand new, and then doing track radio. If I find a new song, I go track radio and see what similar songs are like that, what artists are like that. So it's just kind of an ongoing thing, because every week I have to just look and see what's new. Yeah. With
the music scene changing, and obviously you have to be familiar with reading crowds. How do you learn how to read the crowd? Like, what is your method of reading crowds?
It's like, it's a sense you get, and it's just looking at them and seeing how they respond. Like every crowd is totally different. So some crowds are gonna dance just because they hear a beat, and just because it's like music going and it sounds good and loud. Some crowds, you look at them and you can tell that they're like, if they can't sing along to it, they don't want to hear it. Or if they don't know it, they're not going to respond as much. But it's just about their overall energy, just watching. It's all about the build up too. A lot of folks just think like, it's always funny when people come to a club early or before it's the peak time and it's like, oh, it's not popping yet, or what time are you going on? Or if I'm on already, it's when you gonna play this and this and this, and it's like, it's just not time yet, because it just has to get to a build up, because you can play the biggest song in the world, but if it's too early, they're not gonna respond to it. So it's just kind of watching them and just realizing, like, I would say, because women do kind of run the whole energy of it, like watching them more so. I personally don't really care if guys are like, I mean, not to say that they don't matter as far as dancing goes, but women are the ones who run it. It's like, if they're dancing, the guys are happy because they're watching the women dance. They can dance with them. But it's where I've seen some DJs focus on the guys or play all the hood trap stuff where the guys are jumping in a circle around and the girls are standing there looking bored. So it's more so about focusing on the women, but still making both sides happy. So just looking at them, just watching their reaction, seeing what type of dancing they're doing, just knowing, like, I always joke and say that DJing is like the only profession where it's okay to stereotype. And it's like necessary to stereotype. Like, I can look at a crowd and say, this is kind of a hood crowd, or this is an older crowd. They're black, they're white, they're Mexican, they're Asian. So I have to look at them by ethnicity. I can say, okay, I can tell, even though it's LA, this is a transplant crowd. They're not from LA. So if they're not from LA, I'm not gonna play no LA music. I can tell they're from New York. They all got on New York hats. They all started doing the Pop Smoke dance. So let me go there.
Smoke dance?
Yeah, Pop Smoke. You know Pop Smoke. The one
I know
yeah.
who he is. Bro.
Whatever dance they do to his music, it's like a dance they do to it. So I'm just watching all that to see, like, where I can go. If it's a wide variety, it's like, all right, I have to kind of stay surface level because there's people from all over or different age groups. So I can't go too deep within any level. I can't go too deep Afro beats. I can't go too deep LA or New York. So let me play surface enough, but not too basic and expected. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
So have you ever misread a crowd where you thought they would like something and then they have an entirely different response?
I would say for sure. I mean, especially my first couple years, and it's hard to always tell. I mean, because the most recent time was probably when I did a yacht party recently, because I just started DJing again, and the yacht party, it was somewhat, they're like mid-late 20s, but they're kind of a trendier crowd. So I remember playing the 42 Doug and Roddy Ricch song for the gang, and they got super hype. I did a day party the next week. Crowd was about the similar age, not as trendy, but kind of the same crowd. But I played it, and they just stood there and looked at me, and I'm like, but the way I am is like, I'm gonna talk trash to you. So I'm not gonna sit there and, oh wow, like, what do? I'm like, I started talking trash, like, y'all gonna love this song next month. You just don't know it yet. Like, Shazam it if you don't know it. Because a lot of times people will act like they don't like something just because they don't know it. Like, they don't really dislike it. It's just that if they don't know what it is, they're gonna kind of respond a certain way. So, but even with that, it's gonna happen. You just have to know how to recover. Like, it don't matter if they stop dancing to one song. It's just, all right, recover with something that you know is gonna work.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is there any instruments that you play?
As a kid, I played drums a little bit, and I played piano. I took piano lessons from like age, I guess I was 3 or 4 up to like age 10. I actually took them for about a year recently too. So I'll never tell somebody I play piano. I can't just hop up there and just like improvise on top of somebody's song, but I can learn a song and play it. And if I'm like co-producing a song with somebody, I can play certain notes or tell them, okay, play this type of chord, play a diminished seventh on this part. So I can do that type deal, but I wouldn't call myself an actual like pianist. Yeah. And
then I know you are one of the go-to celebrity DJs. What was your first celebrity DJing event that you had?
My first one was probably 2008. My boy DJ Quest had me DJ with him for Floyd Mayweather's boxing, not boxing, but it was like a Christmas like celebrity fundraiser he does every year. So I did that for a couple years with him. So that was probably some of my first celebrity type events. Yeah. Is
there a celebrity that uses you a lot? Like,
I mean, the main one, I would say Issa Rae. So I do most of her events. I've done like her birthday parties, the series premiere parties, a separate Issa Rae events that she has. So definitely Issa, along with her. People from her circle as well, so Sharonis and Yvonne and Lena Waithe, those types too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is there a celebrity that you met that you did not know they would know of you?
Kind of. I would say it's been a few. I would say like Tiana Paris. The first time I met her was probably 7 years ago, and I met her that time, and then I figured because she said, "Oh yeah, you're a good DJ." Okay, that's what that is. But then last year she actually like reposted me on Instagram saying like Artistic is over there killing it for this Teddy Riley Babyface battle. So I was okay. I didn't know she actually like remember me in that way or paid attention. So I would say that's one. There's been a lot of them on social media. I can't say that they know me, but it's definitely been a lot who've like reposted my videos and commented on them. So
I feel like you underestimating yourself like a lot.
I mean, a lot of times I guess I don't really like look at the celebrity stuff as much as other people do. I guess to me it's like there are regular humans who like music the same way. So I would say like Lil Jon is one who I'm cool with now. He had me do his birthday in January, but the first time with him, I think it was whatever I posted. He just like he followed me. I think it was probably from my LMA and Brandy blend. He like put the fire emojis, and he followed me, and then he asked me to email it to him. So it's been a lot through social media, I would say.
Yeah, social media is amazing.
It is though, especially for anything entertainment or anything creative.
Yeah, really. Okay, so we're gonna get more of like your personals, your favorite genre.
Here we go.
What would you say your favorite genre is?
I would say, of course, it's probably a tie between hip hop and R&B. But if I have to go more specific, between 90s West Coast and probably 70s funk and soul.
70s funk
Yeah.
and soul.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite artist from that time?
70s, there's so many between Parliament, because Prince was more so late 70s and he dominated by the 80s, but I'll definitely say Parliament, James Brown, of course, Patrice Rushen, for sure, George Duke, so.
George Duke.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that's probably some of my favorites from that era.
All right.
Yeah.
What is your favorite album? What is your go-to album?
Probably still Doggy Style.
Really?
Yeah. That's probably the first album that I really was into, even though I shouldn't have been into it because I was too young. I didn't even know what they was talking about. I didn't know what Doggy Style meant.
Yeah.
I just thought because he was Snoop Doggy Dogg and that's his style. I mean, of course it's double entendre, but still. I would say beyond that, my favorite like 70s album, one of them probably is still Off the Wall. I would say I like Off the Wall more than Thriller. I'm one of those people.
I feel the same. I said that, and my mom tried to drag me. It was crazy.
I mean, if you really listen to both albums, I mean, Thriller was more groundbreaking. It was more creative. It was more impactful. I see why it was bigger, but Off the Wall set him up to make Thriller anyway. So, yeah. Because a lot of folks, like, if you're not really a super Michael Jackson fan and you're young, you might not even realize he had albums before Off the Wall.
Yeah.
But it felt like a debut, like, looking back, because it was so much bigger than all his other albums before that. Between Jackson 5 or Jackson's and that, it was like, that's the one everybody looks at. Nobody looks at the previous ones from the 70s as much. Yeah.
What is your guilty pleasure song?
Probably, DJ-wise, probably Booty Me Down.
What? By who? Who's that?
By K-Stylis. It's like, it sounds like a Soulja Boy type song.
I thought like that. What is that booty song? What
Which
is
one?
It?
He had Booty Meat. He had Booty Got Swag.
That's probably what I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Booty Meat.
It's the same type song.
Gotcha.
It's the exact same type song, but it's just a fun, stupid song. Like when you hear it, if you hear it and you're too sober, you're not gonna like it.
I probably won't. Yeah. I don't like none of this new stuff.
Okay. And it's 10 years old now, but it's still like a ratchet
that's
twerk classic.
Too fresh.
Yeah, too fresh. Oh.
Yeah, that's too new for me. That's new too.
All right.
Okay, as a personal guilty pleasure, not a DJ.
Do I actually have a guilty pleasure song like that? I'm trying to think. I don't think I really. It's probably not really guilty pleasure, but it's just so much different from everything else. Probably like Beatles Come Together, which is not really like, it's not that it's anything novelty. It's just that it's different from everything else that I like because it's like a Caucasian group and it's like rock and roll. It's not. I mean, it has a little soul to it though. It still has some soul. You can tell that they're listening to some 60s, 70s soul when they made it. So that's probably the closest. I don't think I have any guilty pleasure song that I'm like almost embarrassed to.
I was about to say, or something you're embarrassed to listen to around other people.
Yeah, I don't think I really. I'm trying to think. I don't think I really have any, honestly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.